Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon here today. Just got done processing sugarcane. You may have seen that video. If I sound a little off, I do apologize. I got some seasonal sinus stuff going on here and trying to clear that up a little bit so I can go knock out some if you have ghost stuff before I potentially lose my voice, because that's usually what happens when my sinuses act up. But I do apologize for coughing during the video too. Anyways, got a couple questions here and thought I'd get into those because I had a few minutes. The Distiller's Almanac, damn near finished. Waiting on a couple of other contributions from other folks. And then it'll all be formatted and sent off to the printer to hopefully be in your hands no later than December or January, if that's something that interests you. I'm very proud of the work I've done on it this year. Very excited to get that out there. Love the fact that this is the second one. This is something I want to keep going forever, right? This is in a way, this is a legacy it can for sure live on forever. Even after I'm long dead and gone, somebody can take that Distiller's Almanac over. Hopefully maybe my daughter will be interested in that. And keep it going for years and years and years to come. And if she's not, somebody else will be, I'm sure. But, all right, anyways, let's get into it here. So, for my buddy Brent. So, good evening, Alan. Spent a lot of time distilling over 50 gallons of what you'd call a wheated bourbon mash. 65% corn, 25% malted wheat, and 10% two-row barley. It's time to go into the barrel. After double pot distillation, it's setting at about 80 ABV. 80% ABV. I obviously want to proof it down, but worried about saponification. Is this a concern going into the barrel, or can I just add the spring water because the barrel will negate this? I was thinking about 110 proof. I have a bad motivator, 5-gallon, medium toast with number 2 char. Hell yeah. Obviously want to make this right because of the cost and time commitment. Also a research project for when the distillery opens. Appreciate all you do. We know you're busy as hell. Thanks for taking time to make videos and answer our questions. Awesome. Thanks for the question, Brent, and glad you're doing well, man. When it comes to bourbon, I don't worry about saponification going into the barrel. I've never had any issues with that. I always proof down, at my previous employment, previous distillery, I always would proof down from 135 down to 105 all in one go. And yeah, you get some saponification, but once it goes into the barrel, it's going to go through esterification. It's going to have a chance to settle and set and go through oxygenation and all that stuff, and I never had negative results from that whatsoever after the aging period, after the maturation period. Even on the 2-year-old stuff, it never was an issue. There never was a qualitative issue whatsoever. So I go ahead and always just go ahead and proof it down, right? If you're going into a bad mow, as you know, that is a long-term thing. It's going to be setting for a good little while. I think you're perfectly fine to go ahead and proof that down and not have to worry about that saponification too awful bad, truthfully. So that's my suggestion there. But I'm sure there'd be somebody in the comments tell me that I'm wrong, but my experience with over 5,000 something barrels is it never was an issue. But good question though, great question as a matter of fact. Thank you very much. Let's see what else we got here. Alright, so I've been watching your videos for a long time, and I'm sure you've gone through this on multiple occasions. I'm looking for base percentage of malted grains get full starch conversion without liquid or granulated enzymes. Most of the things I find online are specifically designed for brewers instead of distillers. Thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed your content. Scooby-Doo. Great question. I do not have the formula in front of me, and I do not have it memorized anymore. I used to have a bunch of formulas memorized, and that's why I started writing books. The formula to figure out your malt efficiency is actually in the Alchemist Cabinet Volume 1, which is still available at thealchemistcabinet.com in the warehouse, along with several other formulas. But the long and short of it is you're looking at probably upwards of 20% of malt, either that being 6-row barley malt or that being rye malt, to get full conversion or real close to full conversion. There is a formula for that. Like I said, it's in the book, but yes, 20% is pretty damn close. It'll get you real close. I wouldn't try to go 100% conversion, because just the same as using the enzymes that you're buying, right? I think you want a little bit of that starch there left over that's unfermentable, because there are aromatic principles that carries across. But I think if you were in the 15% malt range, you can do some really good, interesting things, get plenty of great conversion, plenty of efficiency, and still have some of that starch left in the matrix so that you can distill some of those aromatic principles across in that run. But great question, and check out the book for that formula. At some point, if I have a chance and I remember it, in the next few weeks, I'll sit down and do another video and explain that formula for you guys. One of y'all might want to reach out to me and remind me of that in a couple weeks if you haven't seen me do it. So, all right. Excuse me again, guys. So this one's from George, and I think I answered this one before, but in case I didn't, I will answer it one more time, or for the first time, depending on which it is, for George here. So, hey Alan, I'm a devoted follower of your channel. Thanks for what you do. Hey, thanks for following me, man. My question is about combining yeast for fermentation. My goal is to get good conversion, but push some fruity flavors in an all-grain or fruit mash. I have read that distiller's yeast will outcompete a wine or beer yeast unless you introduce the wine yeast first, so it builds a good colony, or pitch higher percentage of a weaker strain and co-pitch. Any thoughts on this? Well, so it depends on the strain of distiller's yeast, really. So, and it depends on the strain of wine yeast or beer yeast. So, any of those yeast strains can be what are called competitive factor yeast, and those competitive factor yeast will outcompete almost everything. In fact, some of them, even if there is a good colony of other yeast, will still kick their ass. I can tell you, for example, Vin 13 and OK, which are two yeasts that I've commonly used in the past, pitch 24 hours after I pitch what was essentially Fleischmann's bread yeast that we were propagating ourselves over a number of years. They would outcompete that Fleischmann's. Even with a huge colony of Fleischmann's going, that Vin 13 and that OK yeast would take off and they would wipe the Fleischmann's out. So it really depends on the yeast strain and what it's catered to. That's the way that I always did it, though, is I would introduce the weaker yeast first and then the stronger yeast second, typically. That has worked for me, but now, again, if they're not competitive factor yeast, that won't matter because there'll be a huge colony for it to take over. It won't be able to do that. The other way to get around this is, instead of co-pitching, is, let's say you have two different yeast strains and you want what they both contribute, right? But you don't know that you have a competitive factor yeast. What I would do is make two different mashes, the same mash bill, two different yeast strains, and either mix those together and distill them together, or distill them separately, finish them, and mix them together, so that you get the best of both worlds from those multiple yeast strains. So, as always, guys, keep the questions coming. bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. Go to thealchemistcabinet.com and buy the two books, or get ready to buy the new almanac. And if you're into the paranormal, 4T, and high strangeness, any of that stuff, check out If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. And Distillers Talk will be returning soon. We are booking shows now, thankfully. Christy and I are. And then you can, of course, check out oldhomesteaddc.com for all the cool things that we're doing out at Old Homestead Distillery there in Birdseye, Indiana. Love y'all. Later.